Hi, it's Jill, the INTJ. Guess I should have done this earlier today, but so be it. Some of you may wonder, since I am an INTJ, why my delivery is not more along the lines of Wednesday Addams. I learned a while back that people listen more when I'm not speaking in a monotone, so I tend to be a little bit more animated. However, this is learned and not innate, so I admit this is sometimes a bit spastic. However, this video in and of itself will be a brief and hopefully insightful analysis of romantic relationships. I know, INTJs, romance, they don't quite go hand in hand. However, I did mention this was an analysis. That being said, romantic relationships exist on a continuum between cerebral and visceral. At the cerebral end is the companionship, the compatibility, the respect, whether or not you actually like the person. At the visceral end is the chemistry, the passion. Too far on the cerebral side of the spectrum, and you're missing the chemistry and the raw attraction. And some folks are actually okay with that, but for others, it's a necessity. It's a necessary part of any romantic relationship. But however, it's a matter of preference. Too far on the visceral side, however, and the relationship tends to be unstable because the chemistry is so strong. All rational thought goes out the window, and whether or not you are otherwise compatible or even like each other is not even a factor because the chemistry is just so strong. Also, this existing too far on the visceral side of things can cloud your mind and make you think that the relationship was meant to be, oh my gosh, we have so much chemistry, this must be a sign meant to be, when in fact, the fact is you may be a train wreck. Also, I have observed that a lot of times in these relationships, one person gets away with everything short of murder and eventually does the unforgivable, and the other person is a wreck and the relationship implodes. These relationships in and of themselves do not last very long. They tend to be very intense, short-lived, and oftentimes, more often than not, very painful. So, that being said, if you are in a relationship or pondering a past relationship, think about where it is or was on this spectrum. And that will give you, an additional way to, ponder it. I certainly can't advise you to avoid the overly visceral ones because before you had really thought about it, you'd be actually in the relationship. And you may be okay with the lack of emotional compatibility, that's the word I'm looking for, and stability. You might not really, miss it. But what I can say about my observations and frankly other people's observations is that the most stable on long-lasting relationships tend to not be at the visceral end of the spectrum. And that's all I have to say about that.